that time, my other brother, Diego, he was in the infantry, and he had went all the way to Europe, to Germany, and come back without a scratch.
Wow.
So we had a 30-day leave, and we went, to meet other people. Everybody was in uniform at that time. And then I went, got orders to go to Panama. And the only thing I knew about Panama was the Panama Canal. And I got, in 1946, I got orders to go to Fort Greely Canal Zone in Panama. And reported there in the infantry, and then they needed some MPs. I got interviewed, got accepted as an MP as a bilingual, and started my career in the military police there in Fort de Lesseps, Colon, which is a Panama City named Colon. And I started my career in the military police.
Wow. Pretty impressive.
Well, after 21 years, we went, stayed there, met Dalila, my wife, got married, had a couple of kids, and then and I asked for an extension after 6 years to stay there because I was an interpreter, and I really had a maid. I had 4 interpreters working for me, and I had working relationship with all the judges, all of the police chiefs, the district attorneys, the governor were all on first name basis because I told them that I wanted to more communication. So I told the provost marshal, why don't you invite Captain so or Major so and so to come over and have dinner at the officers club? And they started that, and then pretty soon the governor, and the mayor. So we built a real nice relationship between Panamanian and American forces there. And so I stayed there, and after 6.5 years, it was time for me to leave, so I put in for a year extension because I wanted an interpreter job in Panama City, which was a higher grade. And I got a letter back through channels. I went all the way to Washington that I had been there too long. It was time for me to return back to the States. And so we got orders to go to Presidio, San Francisco. And so we went on a troop ship, Dalila and Richard and Carmen, and landed in New York. And I remember we had bought Richard a little sets of little ducks that you walk around, they quack like that. And it was here, going across Grand Central Station with him dragging that. And Carmen trying to tell him to put it away, and everybody was looking at it. So we went, we had a 2-compartment train ride from New York City to Los Angeles, where we stopped at Chicago. And Alita didn't want to get off because she said there were too many gangsters there. She had that fame in Panama, there were too many, She saved the train again, and went outside, got some fresh air. But we come back in the Presidio, spent 3 years in Presidio at the military police, went to criminal investigation course there, and then from there I got orders to go to Japan. By that time, Cindy and Bobby were born. Cindy was born in Presidio, and she got a document to give you as an official Army brat. She has that. And Bobby was born in a hospital in L.A., and we went to Japan for 4 years still in the military police. I got an Army commendation because I was in physical security, and the chief there died, and it was just me and the secretary. So I took over the duties, and they gave me a letter of commendation for that. We stayed there 4 years. From there, I got orders to go to Oakland Army Terminal, and we went to Oakland Army Terminal, and by that time I made Master Sergeant, and I was Operations Sergeant for the Provost Marshal's office in Oakland.
So how long did it take you to get from where you started to Master Sergeant? How many years is that?
Well, let's see. I went in 42, and I got promoted to Master Sergeant in Oakland Army Terminal in 1962.
Yeah, so 20 years basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had it made there, you know, and just she wanted to go back to Panama, re-enlisted and go back to Panama. And there was an opening for an E9, which is above Master Sergeant, chief interpreter for the whole Caribbean. He was going to retire. And there was a sergeant in the Pentagon who used to, his job was to assign the senior sergeants. And at that time, you had to serve 1 year in Korea. So he called me and he said, I got to go to Korea. He said, I'm going to drive across country. I'm going to leave my vehicle in your impoundment lot, and you can run it every 4 or 5 months to keep it alive. So he done that, and when he come back, he says, Moreno, he says, anytime you want to go any place, anytime, with folks, car, everything, you call me. So we went back to assignments in the Pentagon. So the time came for me to retire, and I put in my retirement papers, and he says, go to Panama, back to Panama, you know. So then I put in to go to Panama, you know, to this chief interpreter, and I was accepted. And I was in the summertime when the kids were out of school. I took my car, my furniture, all household goods, and go to Fort Amador, which was headquarters. Nice quarters for master sergeants over there. All approved. In the meantime, this order come down for my retirement. So I told her, I said, what do you want to do? He said, I'm going to go to Panama. You know, I said, okay, if we go to Panama, at least 4 or 5 years I'm going to be there. I'm going to be 50-some years old. And the kids are growing up. When am I going to live out? All I do is police work and World War II. I said, I think, let's think about this. In the meantime, Lutz, about 5 houses down, he was in the Army. He was one of my sergeants. He's going to retire, and he heard about a job out here at Lawrence Livermore. So, where the hell is Livermore? You know, we found it on the map. And I got one of the staff cars, and me and him drove out here. The personnel, got over here at noon, and we went across the street to Sandia Laboratory. And they said, no, we're closed, but across the street, the Lawrence Livermore, they're hiring mostly all ex-military, and all ex-military in the top 3 grades. And so we walked across the street. Said, yeah, sure. They said, we'll hire tomorrow, you know, as a security guard at $2.27 an hour that they were paying. So
it's a good price.
Yeah. So Lutz retired, and I told Lee, I said, as much as I want to go to Panama, I said, look, I said, we can establish our residence here in Livermore, buy a home that was just building, the Sunset was just building, and I qualified for a GI loan, and I can start working as security guard at $2.27 an hour in our kids. We had back and forth, I tell you, because she wanted to go back, you know. So I finally, I called that sergeant in the Pentagon. I said, hey, what's his name? Bob. I said, I changed my mind. I said, I'm thankful for everything you've done to get me, but I'm going to retire. He called me every name under the sun. He said, you know, you were one of the junior master sergeants, and I had to overpass, I don't know how many of us, more seniority than you, to send you to Panama. And then you come out and just, you never call me again. He hung up on me. And so that just life started here in 1963. I retired and bought this home and started working at the lab for another 21 years and retired in 1984. And here I am, 20 years later. Had a good life.
Incredible story.
Had a good life.
Man. There's more questions I want to ask you, but I want to make sure the camera's not going to die. So I'm just going to plug it in, and then there's just a couple more questions I want to ask you.
Okay, sure.
Take a little break for a
You're
second.
going to be late for your party, huh?